Number one, to come into the truth movement, if you're really concerned about truth, you've got to check an ego at the door, okay? You do not know everything. A lot of you think you do, but you don't. I certainly don't. Through your school system, through your education that you're so proud of, that builds your whole ego, your whole value in life, it's impossible for you to discard it and admit you were deceived. Let me tell you something. You've been deceived. It's not your fault. You can let go of your ego. Nobody's gonna laugh at you except other people that can't let go of their ego. But people that have caught on to the con and realized the power grab that's taken place, they're not gonna laugh at you. They're gonna welcome you.
Because you just read the words of a bunch of guys that you never met, and you just take it on faith that everything they wrote was true.
And what makes you think what your scientists are writing is any more truer than my saints?
Because there are volumes of proven data, numbers, figures.
Have you poured through the data yourself? The numbers, the figures?
Well, no, no.
Oh, interesting. So let me get this straight, Mr. Reynolds. You get your information from a book written by men you've never met, and you take their words as truth based on a willingness to believe, a desire to accept, a leap of, dare I say it, faith?
Come on. Look, I mean, I don't even know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Like, come on.
I rest my case.
This is basically the biggest thing you could possibly lie about. The best way to brainwash the whole world is to lie to the whole world about what the world is.
They've stolen our mind from us and stuck us on a cartoon ball.
It is photoshopped, but it has to be.
Everything in the sky revolves around us, just as it appears if you look up and use your own eyes, your own senses. The vanishing point of perspective from your point of view, which is what the horizon line is. It is not the curvature of the earth, as you've been taught.
They stole your mind. They stole my mind.
You've been fed a false system. You've been shown CGI images with a ball earth with a horizon that curves.
Of course, you can measure curvature if it actually existed. It's been tested over and over again and found to have no curvature whatsoever.
You've just been lied to and shown pictures, and you believe those. Science, in fact, shows that the earth is flat and motionless.
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the earth. There's no place to go.
I just recently gained my mind back. It's flat. That begs the question, hey, what the hell have you been showing us this ball for all this time? What have you been doing with our money? Did you guys go to space? Is evolution actually real? Did you guys just make this shit up? These are the questions we need to be asking.
Because it's the power system, the control system. Because it's either deceived and lied and indoctrinated us all into a false system, or it's completely failed in making people realize if they really live on a globe, a lot of people don't see it. So your education system has failed now, hasn't it? In order to believe it, we've got to believe a bunch of math formulas that only a few people in the world can supposedly understand, and we've just got to take your word for it. Why am I having to explain this to critical thinkers in the truth movement? Where you live, it's been a lie the whole time, and if everybody would just come together and demand answers, they would be in checkmate. They would not know what the fuck to do. They cannot prove it. They can't prove the globe because it doesn't exist.
The question is, well, how come ships don't go off the sea if it's flat? How come ships don't fall off the edge? Well, here's why you don't fall off the edge. There's a 200 to 300 foot high wall that is the border that Scripture says is keeping everything in. Nothing's going past that.
because they don't want you.
Our common sense, everyday perception of the Earth, it is flat as far as we can tell. It is motionless as far as we can tell. And everything in the sky is revolving around us as far as we can tell. If nobody told us otherwise, we'd logically assume that the Earth was flat, motionless, with everything in the sky revolving around us.
It's all fraud, it's all fake. Pretty much everything NASA puts out is fraudulent. There are no images of Earth from space. Put an end to this topic once and for all, turn the Hubble round and show us Earth in real time, but they will not do it. They can't do it. It doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist.
25,000 miles in circumference, there must exist a curvature drop of 8 inches times the mile when you square the mile. 1 mile means there should be an 8-inch curvature drop. 2 miles, 2 times 2 times 8 is 32. That's 32-inch drop. 3 miles would be a 72-inch drop. And this would exponentially continue. Here's the longest bridge in the world. The Danyang Kongchon Grand Bridge in China. 102.4 miles long. There should exist nearly 7,000 feet of curvature drop in that bridge. 7,000 foot curvature drop. Do you see it? It ain't there. Look at the horizon. It's flat.
I took a picture across the Great Lakes from Michigan and was able to see, I believe it was Chicago, which he shouldn't have been able to see. And the television station basically said it was a mirage.
I found this photo, Randmere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki, and what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage of the Chicago skyline.
I always say it's a mirage, but for a mirage to happen, you have to have very specific atmospheric conditions. You know, it's not a mirage, it's simply that you're looking across a plane.
This is the first time we actually had like an instrument of flight actually go high enough to actually fucking check out if what we agreed to 500 years ago was real. So if they were wrong after 500 years, the question is, would they tell you?
Presidents are puppets, while the true rulers rule from behind the scenes. The real rulers are those who control our monetary system and the mainstream media. A tiny handful of people, made up mostly of Freemasons, run and control the vast majority of the world's banks and media. As damning and easily provable as is this fact of Freemason control, there is one other incredible fact, which has also been held from humanity for 500 years now. This fact is even more damning and more easily provable, and is also a direct result of the Freemason control over the minds of the masses worldwide. It is the most ridiculed, censored, and hidden fact in history. If this fact was made known to the world at large, just this one fact has the power to completely transform the world and everyone in it for the better, holistically, in a myriad of ways. Our rulers are well aware of this, and that is exactly why this truth has been held from us so expertly for so long. It is about the truth of who we are, where we come from, the actual position and significance of humans, Earth, the sun, moon, and stars. The fact is, the Earth is flat and motionless.
And that is the revelation that will finally break the Matrix.
You have been taught from the earliest ages that you live on a spinning ball, that NASA has sent men to the moon,
and you are the result of a Big Bang explosion which created everything.
NASA and other government space agencies are as real as a Hollywood motion picture and as scientific as science fiction. Science facts, on the other hand, prove the flat Earth. There are hundreds of proofs and scientific experiments which have conclusively shown the Earth to be a stationary plane. But you have never and will never hear about these heavily censored experiments in our controlled media. Measurements have been repeatedly taken throughout history until modern times to test the Earth's supposed curvature. And every time have proven what our eyes and experience tell us to be true. The Earth simply does not curve downwards. This mythical curvature exists only in the fisheye lens footage they constantly film, and the fake CG images of Earth they constantly propagate. The spinning globe and every argument used to defend it is simply pseudoscience masquerading as truth.
Millions of people worldwide are waking up to this incredible rediscovery. I encourage you to please explore this fascinating subject for yourself.
What if I told you a privately owned Hollywood movie production company has stolen over $800 billion from our grandparents and parents' blood, sweat, and retirement funds? It is possible to save the 30,000 children that die every day from preventable illnesses by taking only 10% of the daily budget from this company. They are also responsible for teaching theories as fact with no verifiable proof of their claims. One only needs to Google bubbles in space.
The public's attention to what may be an extremely egregious example of malfeasance, and just to help illustrate the gravity of the situation, imagine if the federal government gave $19.5 billion to Hollywood. Well, there is a growing body of evidence that the International Space Station is not in outer space, but it's being filmed in a desalinated pool down here on Earth, and it's being falsely misrepresented. Started with this phenomenon known as bubbles in space. Bubbles out in space. Many of these so-called spacewalks, which have been falsely misrepresented as live, it is known that the astronauts do train in these big underwater tanks. And so this body of evidence, there are harnesses or green screens, and if this is true, it's a big deal. These bubbles in space might represent the smoking gun in probably the biggest hoax since global warming.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make an announcement. Has anyone heard the Earth is flat? Anyone on the train? Cosmology in the Bible is the true cosmology. Research it yourself. Fair enough?
NASA's a fraud, bro. They lie about everything.
If there's anything to learn from this little exercise is that the reactions here are great. There's kind of nothing to be afraid of. Flat Earth, man, check it out. Hashtag Flat Earth, that's where it's all going down, bro. These guys think it's a joke, that's the thing. But if anyone has direct proof of curvature, prove it.
Exactly.
No one can though, that's the crazy thing.
People are so accustomed to what they've been absorbing for their entire lives, so it's difficult to wrap your head around. I can't say that I jumped on it right away.
Have a good one. Like, straight up triggered. The Matrix ain't gonna melt itself, boys.
Or you may have seen it on your way to work or school or just driving around. A new billboard has some people thinking about the Earth.
And asking the question, could the Earth be flat?
Digital billboard, a theory most of us have accepted that the Earth, of course, is round.
Flatness all around the world. Kansas State, it's known as flat as a pancake. Curry, Australia. We have Wadi Rum, Jordan. Bonneville, the Salt Flats, Australia. Grand Canyon, San Francisco Bay, Western Australia. Highway 1, the Danica Deserts, the Everglades, Florida, Bay Hill, Siberia. Bolivia Salt Flats, 4,000 square miles flat. Where is the curvature? Any way, shape, or form. I have this all written down, but I'm just going to go from the heart. Your place of importance becomes less than a grain of sand. It proves creator.
Okay, we gotta wrap it up because they need to get in.
Thank you.
We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. We all go through the same education system.
There's one mainstream science system, there's one mainstream media system, all the same information. Everybody gets it all at once. The question is, are they capable of massive lies? Do we automatically submit to authority? You taught it as fact, you taught it as truth. And something else I want to clear up is flat earth is not a new phenomenon at all. But we're talking about the Sumerians, the Chaldeans, the Hebrews, the Egyptians, the Chinese. So this is not some kind of new psyop on the internet. Just the moon in general. We've got the craters on the moon, and they're all round, because they tell us it's meteors and asteroids that created these. There's no impact trails, so they all must have hit straight on at 90 degrees. And the other problem is we always have the same side of the moon facing us, so did they all come from Earth? Something else to ponder as well. There are no real shots of real satellites in space. If they've got all these cameras on all the satellites, why don't they take pictures of each other? Prove to us. Shut us up. One of the big arguments for a ball Earth is that ships disappear over the horizon. Because if we're on a ball and there's a curve that way and the ships are disappearing that way, then we should see a curve that way as well. And not just across the z-axis, but across the x-axis as well. Because it should be even. We should see it both ways. So sometimes they can be seen, sometimes they can't. It's not because they disappeared behind the curve of the Earth. The way our eyes work has got a lot to do with how things disappear in the distance. This is what we see every time you look out. A flat horizon. And a lot of people will maintain, I've seen the curve from an airplane. Airplanes fly at 37,000 feet, around 7 miles up. So if you've seen the curve from 7 miles up, how did this V2 rocket in 1946 not see the curve from 65 miles up? Yeah, NASA are liars. Yeah, they can fool us with a telescope, but you can't fool science, can you? There's a scientific proofs, isn't there? In fact, you'll find most of the scientific proofs all assume previously that the Earth is there, or it is spinning, etc., etc. So they have to start with that assumption and then they can prove it. But without starting with that assumption, you can't. Again, we go to school and they say the sun's 93 million miles away. Everybody knows that figure. But that has changed ridiculously since Copernicus first came up with this theory. Not only that, they also used to think that the sun was fixed in the centre. Herschel then said, no, the sun's moving as well. It's not like the science is settled or anything, it changes all the time. They say the moon causes the tides. Gravity is supposed to be 6 strength on the moon. But you're telling me from 240,000 miles away, that affects the tides, but the spinning of the Earth doesn't. Things weigh exactly the same at the equator as they do in Britain or the North Pole. All the atmosphere is spinning along with the Earth. That's why we can't feel it, that's how, planes can still fly and everything else. But they want us to believe that the atmosphere is basically acts like one big solid directly attached to the Earth. That's the only way that you wouldn't feel it. But the atmosphere is gas, it's air. You say because of friction, that's what gets the air going. You can't get a solid just by friction to get a gas to rotate along with it. And this is nonsense. It doesn't work scientifically. There are no experiments that prove the motion of the Earth. In fact, quite the opposite. You look up Michelson, Morley, Stagnac's turntables and Airy's failure, three of the most famous experiments in the 19th century, and they all basically prove that we're completely and utterly motionless. That's why they had to bring Einstein out in 1905. Like the theories of relativity.
Spinning globe 666 and the strong delusion. We've got the largest phallic symbol in the world in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument, which stands at 6,666 inches tall by 666 inches wide. 666 all over the place. Looking at the spinning heliocentric globe, 666 keeps popping up. Speed of Earth's orbit. If you look it up, it's 66,600 miles an hour. It's how fast the Earth is supposedly going around the sun. Earth's tilt, look it up, 23.4 degrees, 23.4 off of center. Well, 90 degrees, right? 90 subtract 23.4, 66.6. Curvature of the Earth, when you do the math to figure out how much the Earth is curving, 25,000 mile circumference ball, using the Pythagorean theorem, you end up with 8 inches per mile squared, which is the first mile. The curvature is 8 inches in 1 mile. 8 inches is 0.666 of a foot. 10 miles is 66.666 feet. 100 miles, 6,666.666 feet. Starting to see a pattern here. Scripture talks about there's going to be such a great deception that's going to come in the end times. Who brings the great deception? Do you know? That's right, God knows. Now, I think Satan certainly capitalizes on it. Why? Well, Scripture tells us why. We'll be accompanied by the power of Satan. He will use every kind of power, including miraculous signs, lying wonders, and every type of evil to deceive those who are dying. those who refuse to love the truth that would save them. For this reason, God will send them a powerful delusion so that they will believe the lie. Then all who have not believed the truth, but have taken pleasure in unrighteousness, will be condemned. He sends the delusion because people would rather live in lawlessness. Now, I think that he gives us a pass when we do things in ignorance. Sorry you guys attended this seminar, you're not in ignorance anymore.
Why I'm living too? Why I'm living too? Say what's wrong with me? Shit, what's wrong with you? Cause me, I'm feeling good. Me, I'm in my zone. I look up in the sky. I know this can't be home. And I know I ain't alone. They try to take it home. They try to sway the weak. And they try to break strong. But I'm not a quitter. God's child, not God's dinner. On God, I'm Godzilla. Try to plot to make the plot thicker. See, the middle class got a lot slimmer. And the upper class got a lot richer. They want to revolt, they want you to riot, they want you to try it, they want to provoke us to keep us divided. But the people are no longer quiet. They say, Bob, they gonna take you out if you keep rhyming this way. I say, fuck it, we all gonna die anyway.